and then it would start the backend. Let's wait for the database to be connected. Sometimes it's taking some time, so let's wait for this. Okay, so we will see the message connected to database, then everything would be fine. So guys, first of all, I'll just open MongoDB and log in again. And then what I have to do is I would go to my database. Yeah, this is my database. So it's again showing me this issue at current IP address, but instead of this, I would go to network access. And here you can see there is some problem with my current IP address. So what I would do is add current IP address, and automatically it would be added to the current IP address. So you can see this current IP address would be added, and now if I just reload, I think it would be added. So you can see if you reload, so you can see this IP address is added. Obviously you can see this was the same laptop which I am using previously, but sometimes IP address changes, you can't do anything because this is dynamic IP address. So you can learn more about that in the networking part whenever you learn networking someday. But right now you can assume that your IP address might change frequently, so you have to add this. Or you can just do this other thing, that is allow access from anywhere. That means you don't need to add again and again. What you can do is, if you say allow access from anywhere, so this would actually say your computer, your friend's computer, or any hacker's computer can also access this database if they have the key, database key. So it's always not recommended to use this, but if you have a very basic project and you have an issue of always changing database, then you can do this. But once you have hosted into some backend, that backend the IP address won't change like this. It would be always running 24/7. So you can always add that IP address instead of adding it like this. Okay, but right now we are going to assume, suppose we are going to allow access from anywhere. So we actually don't need these extra ones. We are just saying that I'm allowed to have access from anywhere. So we are just saying any hacker can also access that, because this is a very basic project. Okay, so right now we're just coming back here, and now if I just save this, so let's wait for a few seconds, then it would show us message like connected to database. So you can see now it's connected to database. What you can actually do is, now since you are connected to database, we are going to first of all make a request. So you can see authentication field, not token refresh token provided. Why? Because it's first of all calling this middleware, and it's asking you for the auth token. Since it's more than 3 minutes, we created the login register token for 3 minutes, made valid for 3 minutes. Okay, so login token was valid for 3 minutes. So what we have to do is we have to log in again. So this was the login API, right? And I'm just saying that I want to log in with this email and password. Okay, name is actually not required, so you can skip this or let it be. Name is actually ignored because in login only email and password is required, but still we are keeping this. And our headers were content type application JSON. That's it. So if I click on send, so automatically your auth tokens would be generated. Now here if I click on send, so you can see task validation failed. Now my tokens are fine, but title is required and description is required. So we have to add that data here. So I would just say that inside brackets in the document format, title is my task 1. Okay, and suppose we'll also add a description. Okay, and then I would just simply say my description. Right, and one more thing is, yes, we only need two things. So now if I click on send, so you can see that task is created successfully. Who is the owner? Automatically owner ID would be extracted from the tokens which have logged in, which whoever has logged in, ID would be extracted. Status is by default pending, and this is it. So you can check your database also. What you can do is you can go to your database, and here I would actually look for, first of all, go to browse collections, and here guys, actually I would look for task. Inside the task you can see we have my task 1. Okay, so your first job is done. You can see that it's getting an idea of this owner. Okay, which owner? 6E7. And I'm logged in with the same user. How we can check? We can go to users, and here itself you can see I got the owner ID. This is the ID of the actual user, and this ID is extracted from the login token and added into this specific object which is created by the same owner. Okay, I hope now you understood how we are extracting ID. So this was the post request which I am talking about. Now I want to get data. Okay, so I want to get data. What I'll do is router dot get, and suppose I want to get all the data. Okay, so I would just say slash, and this is it. But first of all, I want to check that if the user is logged in or not. So middleware, then I'm just going to pass the same things. That's it. Now, since you want to get the data, what you can do is first of all make sure you don't have any API starting like this. So you can see these are the same APIs. So you have to actually remove this one. And actually, instead of this, I would just say slash test so that there is some API which would be used for testing. Okay, slash test. Now you can see when someone calls it directly, you would directly get a get request. Okay, so I want to get all the documents created by this user. Okay, so I would just say try. Okay, and I would just say that get all the tasks. Okay, so get all the tasks, const tasks, and which contains my user ID, get all the tasks in my from my database which contains this specific user ID which is logged in. Now once this is done, you would just simply send this response, but if there is some issue, you would just call the catch block. That's it. Okay, so you can see that's how it's done. So first of all, let's create another task. So I'll just say my task 2. Okay, if I click on send, so you can see, okay, actually it's more than 3 minutes, that's why you have to log in again. So now this time, guys, since obviously I won't be logging again and again in 3 minutes, I should not expire the token like this. So what I'll do is I'll just change the timing of this to some 10-20 minutes so that it's easier for all of us. Okay, so now I'll just make it normal. So this 1 minute 3 minute was just for explanation purpose so that we know what happens when token expires. Okay, so now I'll just make it 10 minutes or 30 minutes, and when the token refreshes, what we'll do the same job, that is we generated the token and we'll just add the time here, 10 minutes 30 minutes, that's it. Okay, so I just made it normal so that now it's actually practical. Okay, so now I'll come back to my task routes, and it's asking me first of all to log in. So I'll log in. After that, I'll get all my things, because if you don't log in, how you know that whose data you want to get? Okay, so first of all, I'll just log in again. You can see I'm logged in. Now I want to just add a new task. I would just add it. So you can see task created successfully, so that in your database it's added. Now I would just say that we have a get request instead of post request. Now if I click on send, so you can see that task fetched successfully with the data. Okay, so these are all the tasks created by this user. Okay, so that's how you can just get that data, and obviously you won't be requiring this body here. In this get case, you don't need any body, or you don't also need any header, so that's totally fine. I just want to get all the data of this user. Okay, so you can see you got the data. I want to get a specific data with a specific ID. How can I do this? Or just ask for the ID. Okay, so I'll just say lon ID. Okay, so once you have the ID, you want to just extract the ID. So I would just say const ID from params. Okay, so extract ID from params, and then I would just say I found all the tasks of the user. Okay, instead of this, I would just say find that specific task which matches with our ID and owner. Okay, if I'm the owner and I have provided that, then only I can see that task. Nobody else can see that task. Okay, that's what I have done. Okay, now once you got that, you would just say task fetch successfully, and you just return your task. And if there is an issue, you would automatically send it here. Okay, so now let's try to test this. So you know that we have my task 2 which has this ID. So I'll just copy this ID, and into my URL, what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide this further. If I click on send, so you can see you got that specific task, right? So that's how it actually works.